On the agenda tonight, we're going to be taking a look at the recent release, or re-release, of The Night Comes Down by Queen on their official channel. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, I've received loads of messages about this as soon as it was released on the Queen channel on YouTube, with people asking me to take a look at it, and a lot of people just saying flat out that it's pitch corrected and that you can hear it straight away. And I agree with that. You can hear immediately that they have pitch corrected Freddie Mercury's voice. Now, I don't understand this on any level as to why it would be done in the first place, because I think it's sacrilege, first of all, to pitch correct a voice like Freddie Mercury's because it was so unique. But also, from diving into this song, taking a look at it, analysing it, I can't believe that they haven't spotted what I have spotted. I'm going to tell you now, and we're going to look at it in a second, Freddie was not singing out of tune. He wasn't missing the notes. But let's get into it. And first of all, just to mention that we do have this weird AI type video thing going on, and there's points in it where you get this kind of thing. I don't know whether you can see in the background, but the eyes, Roger Taylor's eyes are too big, and that's obviously something that AI has, not been able to figure out when you've maybe typed in Roger Taylor and it's made a video of him. But yeah, so I don't know what they're doing with the video. And I think people have commented underneath saying, well, why not just show old footage or do something? It's the official Queen channel. You've got access to everything Queen. So I am going to be jumping into this a lot because I don't want this video to get blocked on copyrights. And we have the isolated vocal, so we'll hear the pitch corrected version.
When I was young, it came to me.
I mean, immediately, yeah, something's wrong.
And I could see the sun breaking.
So yeah, we've got this calibration to A440 standard pitch. And again, it's just so heavily done. But yeah, it's a bit crazy because it actually wasn't required in the first place. So you'll see how on the left-hand side, we've got Freddie's voice that is pretty much between notes, but it is flat of, say for example, the E4 here. And when we go over to the pitch corrected version, obviously his voice has now been dragged over the E4. And you'll see that here, D4 below and now D4 exactly over the top. The other thing is, looking at the video on YouTube, underneath, in the description, it says, between Freddie Mercury's exquisite falsetto, John Deacon's rippling bass, Roger Taylor's attentive percussion, and Brian's deeply sensitive playing, the young band were here discovering a voice all their own. This isn't Freddie Mercury's voice. This has been changed. This isn't what he sounded like. He sounded like the voice on the left. So let's now have a listen to the voice on the left and see what we can hear.
When I was young, it came to me, and I could see the sun breaking.
I mean, listen to that. The difference is ridiculous. That this is actually Freddie in front of a microphone with nothing between him and that microphone. It's not been pitch corrected. It hasn't gone through processing, and then we hear the result. Listening to Freddie's vocal on the left-hand side, you can see, well, you can hear that it's constantly pretty much the same amount flat. And when we're looking at it on screen, you can see that this is below the line, 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 this is below the line. He's always in the same place. So the first thing I would think, as probably a producer, but also as a musician and somebody who sings and's done a lot of recording in lots of different recording studios, done a lot of production at home as well. The first thing I thought looking at this is Freddie is singing this probably with headphones on in the studio. Is he hearing the track flatter than it was actually recorded, which happens all the time. If you've done any amount of recording in the studio, you can sometimes be singing along to something and have the track in your cans, and as soon as you take them off and then listen to the vocal back, you think, oh, it's flat, or it might be sharp. But it can be consistently that way, like you have nailed the vocal but you're always 20 cents sharp or flat. So then you record it again and now have one ear outside of the headphones and you hear the pitch more accurately, and then you sing again and then you realize, oh, now I'm on pitch. So I think that's exactly what's happened here with Freddie in the studio. He's not incorrect singing here. He's hearing the notes here for however this is being recorded in the studio. So then what happens is, instead of going through and correcting every single note that Freddie has sung, all you need to do is either move his whole vocal up or move the instrumentation down to where he's singing it. Again, it's understanding Freddie Mercury's voice, and this is why I can't understand how producers don't know his voice. Because, I'm a Queen fan. We've done analysis videos on Freddie's voice before, and he would occasionally be sharp, which means he's on the line here. This was actually sharp for where he's normally singing. So this is flat, and I'm not saying this as an insult. I'm saying it's below the line. When you're above the line, that's sharp. So this would have been sharp. So as we keep going through, everything you see pretty much, because he was so accurate vocally, he's always in the same place. And very occasionally, when we move on, he will be closer to the line, but then he'll be below it again. And what's happening in the studio is they're grabbing all of these notes independently and dragging them over the top of these lines. And this is why it sounds weird. Rather than lifting the whole thing, or what I would do, and spoiler alert, what I have done, is I brought the instrumentation down to what would effectively be 437 hertz, something like that. So now it's lower, so that we're hearing, and you will hear, obviously I don't want to get it copyright blocked, but you will hear what I think Freddie Mercury was hearing in the studio and exactly what he was singing along to. So I'm hoping that you guys are understanding what I'm saying here. What I've done is I have not touched Freddie Mercury's vocal at all. This is his voice when he was in the studio and they were recording this vocal. What I have done is recalibrate the backing to what I think he was singing along to in the studio, but then when they've released the song, the backing is now ever so slightly sharp of where it was when it's being played to him in the studio. So anyway, again, this is really difficult because I'd love to be able to play you guys and Queen fans the whole song of Freddie Mercury's voice untouched, but now calibrated, or should I say the instrumentation calibrated to Freddie's voice where it was in the studio. So I'm just going to play very little parts of it, and you can just hear how it sounds. Have a listen.
And so was I, dazzling, holding the world inside.
So I'm hoping that that's not too much audio for this video to get blocked, but I'm gonna maybe play sections to try and get around it. But that vocal you just heard, would you say that that was out of tune? No, it wasn't. That's Freddie Mercury singing to what he can hear, and we know that he was so accurate vocally. This is why this works, and this is why this has worked. What I've done is because I know that he was this good. Let's listen to a little bit more.
Everyone and anyone can see.
And I love it because you get all of the expression in each vocal phrase rather than the pitch corrected version, which is just going to eliminate all of that. I mean, I don't particularly want to listen to the pitch corrected version, but we'll have a listen to that again.
Once I believed
Oh, it sounds so weird.
in everyone.
See, that everyone being straight on A440 standard pitch, it doesn't have the same expression to it. Oh, let me just listen to how that actually sounded.
Believed in everyone.
Listen to how that one is slightly flat. That's the expression, but oh man, right, listen to a little bit more. And this is what I've done. This is Freddie Mercury's voice without pitch correction.
I get afraid of losing my way.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that vocal. Even that A4, when he goes up to it, you can see that he started, slightly above, came down below, and then ascended. But that's just what his voice does. And again, I'm going to have to skip through this. Listen again.
And it's dark again.
I mean, that could not be more accurate. And again, this isn't pitch correction. This was his natural voice in the studio. I don't know how much I'm going to get away with here, but all I want you to hear is Freddie Mercury's voice sounding great and sounding in key. But they haven't spotted that the instrumentation was out. And or should I say that Freddie Mercury was singing along to instrumentation that was out. So everything that he did was absolutely valid and absolutely fine from a pitch perspective. And it's just a shame that they could have done this, what I've done, but instead they've chosen to put his voice through, pitch processing and process the vocal. Therefore, it's going to degrade the vocal because it is destructive. Changing an audio file like that, because now it's being manipulated to something that it wasn't, and it's getting rid of his original vocal. That's the ultimate sacrilege for me, is they could have released this with the original vocal totally intact as I've done it, but they're releasing it as like an Android version of his voice, which they've said that they were discovering a voice all of their own, but they're not. This is a voice of 2024 that every single pop artist is now calibrated to as an industry standard. So the whole thing they're trying to, focus on, saying, oh, look how they found their unique voice. Here's his voice, and it's not unique anymore because it's the same thing that's being applied to every single artist that's being released in 2024. Oh, such a shame.
The black and the white, distinctively.
I mean, just listen to the way that at the end of this phrase, the white, that classic Freddie Mercury tail off.
The black and the white.
And actually, you can see here that the black and the white is quite loose with that vocal. But on the right hand side, they've pitch corrected all of this, but it's just that sound of Freddie that gets lost with the pitch correction. I mean, it is his personality that we're going to lose. Again, listen to the accuracy of the pitch. I'm going to skip forward again.
I get afraid of losing my way.
Again, that A4 is absolutely spot on. And this is going to be A4 at 437 hertz for those technical people that are interested. But you can hear how it just works perfectly. I don't know what's going on with this video in the background. I assume that's supposed to be Brian May. It is what it is. Oh, I'm going to skip forward just a little bit so that we interrupt the audio.
The night comes down.
Again, he's absolutely spot on here.
And it's dark again.
Spot on.
And it's dark again.
The repeat, spot on. And then we get into this instrumental section at the end. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this because the thing that's going to keep me awake at night is that they haven't spotted this before going through the whole remix of this song. And I'm apprehensive to think that they might be releasing more songs where they haven't realised that the recording session might have had an anomaly to it and that all they need to do is just adjust the tuning. Yeah, I don't know. I always hope that people know what I know and that you're still going to maintain the authenticity of the original with a remix. And this is the problem between, or the difference between remixing and remastering. Remastering isn't changing anything about the song other than treating the whole song, like editing the EQ, boosting particular frequencies and cutting other frequencies. So you're just addressing the whole song. Remixing is where the problems are going to happen, where you go in and start editing the vocals, editing the guitar just by itself, editing the bass, the drums. You are now no longer doing the whole song, you're doing individual parts of the song, and this is what's happened. They've pitch corrected Freddie Mercury's voice note by note. That's how they've done it, but they haven't noticed that they didn't need to do that. So what I'm going to do is show you the pitch lines of my Freddie Mercury. So this is totally unedited, uncorrected, and on the left hand side we have the official release, the pitch corrected version. And what I want to show you is that when these lines are in the right place, you'll see how accurate oh, it's going to be ironic, because you're going to see how accurate Freddie was, and you can see already, look how close he was to this line, and they pitch corrected him, guess what, to that line. And look how close he is here. But anyway, I've already played it through so you can hear how accurate he was. But as we work our way through, you'll start to see that the corrected version is no more accurate than his natural voice was. And this is the point that I'm making, that they didn't need to do any correcting, because it was already correct. It's just that their lines were in the wrong place. So anyway, look here on the right hand side, natural voice, pitch corrected voice, and this has been pitch corrected. They've moved it to this place, which again, ironically, it was already there. So let's move it forward a little bit here. Look at this. And this is where the pitch correction really does stand out, because you'll see that he would have been just underneath that line, but they've made sure that he's on the line for every single note, which doesn't happen. And this is what I say all the time about great vocalists, Freddie being one, is that they have the ability to be on these lines now and again, but they aren't always on these lines, because always on the lines is pitch correction or auto-tune. As we go through this, it doesn't really matter where I stop, because it's Freddie Mercury's voice. His natural voice would have been just spot on, and we can keep going here even to this held note A4, just spot on, and moving forward. So and by the way, what we're looking at here, being spot on with his natural voice, what I'm saying is that he would sound spot on without the nasty pitch correction processed sound. It would sound like his voice, because it is his voice. It is uncorrected. I haven't done anything to his voice here. So it would still sound exactly as he sang it. This kind of thing, this slight variation that we get, rather than being perfectly over A440 standard pitch. So yeah, hopefully you guys are understanding what I'm saying. I haven't moved his voice. I've just moved the lines to show how accurate he was. But anyway, yeah, thank you guys for requesting this particular analysis video en masse. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as you can, and maybe you've learned a thing or two about this latest release, this latest official release. But as always, keep those requests and suggestions for future videos coming in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!